I'm Tom Gamble, and I minister at Fairland Christian Church, Niles, Michigan. And we are continuing our journey through the life of Joseph. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. This is day number 8 of 10. And yesterday, we left off finishing up Genesis chapter 45. And I want to begin today by reading the last verse of that chapter. So Genesis 45 verse 28 says this, and Israel, remember that's the other name for Jacob, and Israel said, "It is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." That leads us into our study of chapters 46 and 47 today, as Jacob and his entire household head to Egypt. I'm going to ask you, go ahead and follow along with me. We're in chapter 46, and I want to read the first 4 verses of chapter number 46. This is what is written for us. It says, "So Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night, and said, 'Jacob, Jacob.' And he said, 'Here I am.' Then he said, 'I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again, and Joseph's hand shall close your eyes.'" This exchange between God and Jacob includes these words that I read. "I will make you into a great nation." These words continue the promise that God had spoken to Jacob's grandfather, Abraham, as recorded back in Genesis chapter 12 and verse number 2. God's plan had not changed. It was still well on its way. As we read on in this chapter, we find out that the house of Jacob came into Egypt, and that house was 70 people. When God gave the promise to Abraham, his family was just himself and his wife Sarah. The nation had grown from 2 to 70, but it was going to get much, much bigger. As chapter 46 continues, Jacob sends Judah. And here we have Judah. We remember him from a couple days now that we've had him. This is at least the 3rd time. Here's Judah. Jacob sends Judah ahead of him to Joseph to find out where it is, to have him show the way before him to Goshen, that place in Egypt. And they came into the land, the entire family of Jacob came in to the land of Goshen. Joseph then heads out, and he goes, and I'm going to take the crown with me here. Joseph heads out to be reunited with his father. It's the first time that they have seen each other in 22 years. Joseph then speaks to his brothers and prepares them to meet Pharaoh. For his brothers share that they are shepherds, so that his brothers can share that they are shepherds, in order that they may dwell in the land of Goshen. That being the case, Joseph selects 5 of his brothers. Now, we're not told which 5, so what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and keep Judah over here as one of those. And let's see, we'll take along this guy. This must be Issachar, and we'll take Simeon. We had him a while back. And let's see who else we'll take. Let's take Naphtali right there. Take Naphtali. And then how about Gad? Let's take Gad as well. So Joseph takes 5 of his brothers, and he has them come before Pharaoh. Now I want to introduce you to Pharaoh. We haven't met Pharaoh yet. Malachi is going to bring in Pharaoh. And would you go ahead and set Pharaoh, and I'll move these guys over just a little bit, these five brothers. Bring over Pharaoh for us. There's Pharaoh. Yeah, Pharaoh is the big honcho in the land of Egypt. So here's Pharaoh himself. Thanks, Malachi, for that assistance. Here is Pharaoh. Pharaoh is there, and the five brothers that Joseph selected came before Pharaoh. And as they stood there, they shared with Pharaoh that they are shepherds, and that they would like now to dwell in the land of Goshen. I'm going to read here chapter 47, verses 7 through 10, which gives us the account after Pharaoh had spoken to these five brothers and the land was open before them. Pharaoh said, hey, here's the land. Let them choose the best. That's where they're going to go. After this, the Bible tells us that Jacob himself came and he stood before Pharaoh. Let me read the account in chapter number 47, verses number 7 through 10. This is what we find there. It says, then Joseph brought in Jacob his father, and stood him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Jacob, how many are the days of the years of your life? And Jacob said to Pharaoh, the days of the years of my sojourning are 130 years. Few and evil have been the days of the years of my life, and they have not attained to the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their sojourning. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. Now, beginning in chapter 47:13, we see the people of Egypt spending all of the money that they had for food in order to survive because of the famine. They then give all of their livestock. Money being gone, they exchange all of their livestock for food. Then, livestock being gone, then they give their land in exchange for food, and they also give them their very selves to Pharaoh to be his servants in exchange for food in order to survive. As this, if you remember, this famine being 7 years long. Now, that finishes our walk through today's chapter. What I want to do is I want to read the very last verses of chapter number 47, which gives us the end of our reading for today. Listen to these words. Chapter 47, verses 27 to the end of the chapter, it says, then Israel settled in the land of Egypt, in the land of Goshen. And they gained possessions in it, and were fruitful, and multiplied greatly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 147 years. And when the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph and said to him, if now I have found favor in your sight, put your hand under my thigh. And that act is actually a way to confirm an oath. That was the way it was done back at that time. Put your hand under my thigh and promise to deal kindly with me. Do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. Carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burying place. He answered, I will do as you have said. And he said, swear to me. And he swore to him. Then Israel bowed himself upon the head of his bed. Now he's not passed yet. We'll learn more from Jacob as we look forward tomorrow. Now today, main thought that I want to point out is this. We draw it actually from the reading from Genesis chapter 46, just one verse, Genesis chapter 46, verse 28, which I had not read. Let me read that verse to you. 46:28 says this. He, being Jacob, had sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to show the way before him in Goshen. I talked about that a few moments ago. And they came into the land of Goshen. Now, Interesting here. Of all the 11 brothers to choose from, Jacob selects Judah. The selection of Judah. Judah taking a role as a leader of his brothers. And I want you to know this. We are beginning to see here Judah as the beginning of the Davidic dynasty. That is the kingdom of David. This is a beginning. He's a leader. He's taking a leadership role. We're beginning to see that Davidic kingdom in the future. Okay, as David is part of that in the line of Judah. And it is through that line of Judah, through that line of David, that is the family line of Jesus Christ. And we're going to get more on this tomorrow as we read the blessings that Jacob bestows upon his sons as recorded in Genesis chapter 49. Remember, God's plan to bring salvation to the world, we can see right here. We've seen it before, but we see it right here again, is well underway. Yesterday, for prayer. Yesterday I asked you to be praying for our youth as they finish up the school year, finishing up their studies. Today, I'm going to ask you to pray for our senior citizens, that number one, they would stay healthy at this time, and also stay encouraged as a number of them are staying indoors for the duration of this time with all the concerns surrounding the coronavirus. Those of you that are connected with Fairland Christian Church, I would encourage you to give a call to one of those members, one of those seniors in our congregation, just to encourage them as they are home during this time. And if you're not a part of Fairland, if you know other seniors that are home and staying inside at this time, hey, reach out to them, encourage them. And if you're one of those seniors, feel free, pick up that phone, make a phone call to one another, encourage one another during these days. Also, another thing is praying for this. Give Lord praise. As I know the forecast today, cooler today, we've had some rain, but hey, spring rain, spring weather is here, spring rains, and if you look outside, everything turning green. So we know that the seasons season is changing as we look ahead to warmer days. Praise the Lord for that changing of seasons that we can anticipate. Tomorrow, prepare. I encourage you to read ahead, read chapters in Genesis number 48 and 49. We'll see you tomorrow.